Good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Deer, and I am the Interim Director of Parent and Family Programs here at William & Mary. We are excited to kick off our Parent and Family Programs webinar series for the academic year, and I thank you all for joining us this evening. A few housekeeping tips before we get started. Near the end of our presentation this evening, we will open it up to Q&A. We use the Q&A feature here in Zoom as it allows us to see all your questions and keep them organized. So we ask that you use the Q&A feature. If you haven't already, please feel free to post a message in the chat. Let us know who you are and where you're joining us from. And without further ado, I am going to turn it over to a crew of representatives from the Cohen Career Center who are going to speak with us tonight about gaining experiences at through the Cohen Career Center and ways that your student can get experiences through externships and internships. So thank you to my friends from the Cohen Career Center for joining us this evening, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Heather. We are excited to be with everyone tonight. I just want to say thank you to the Parent and Family Programs for putting on this event and for having the Cohen Career Center. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce myself, and then I know my colleagues are going to introduce themselves as well. But to get us started, my name is Renard Miles, and I serve as the Director of Employer Engagement and Programming for the Cohen Career Center. And just as a reminder, our office serves all undergraduate students, including those in the School of Business. And we also work with students and the graduate students in the arts and sciences, the School of Education, our Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and alumni who are 3 years or less upon graduation. So once again, thank you all for joining, and we're looking forward to presenting with you tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Randolph. I'm the Assistant Director for Experiential Learning in the Cohen Career Center. So while we're all generalists and work with all students and all topics of career development, I also focus specifically on internships and externships.
Hi everybody, I'm Don Snyder, Associate Director, and I have an industry advising role of STEM careers. And as Lisa just mentioned, we are all generalists. So this is a quick look at our advising team that your student will connect with, hopefully at some point. But we are all generalists, meaning that we can meet with, any of us can meet with any student from any class level, any major background, any career interests. So we do want you to know that no student is going to fall through the cracks. We'll cover all the students. But we do drill into some what are called liaison areas. Some of us have industry liaison areas, and some of us have populations and topics. As you can see, our colleagues there, Andrew, serving students interested in public service education and human service careers. Kelly is really focused on that early career engagement, specifically programs and initiatives, services for freshmen and sophomores. Chris McQuillan serves students interested in what are called creative careers. Could be film, media, advertising, entertainment, careers along those sides. And then Rachel Southern serves students interested in business careers. And you heard from Lisa and you heard from myself. We do want to let you know, as we are all navigating COVID, we want to emphasize, first of all, safety for the health of everybody. We also want to emphasize flexibility as we navigate through this school year. So our advising appointments, we have a variety of options available for students, and we have seen students really take all of these options, whether they be in person, Zoom, or phone. We want you to know that students have that flexibility for advising appointment depending on just convenience or just comfort level. So advising appointments remain flexible, as does our programming. We have programming throughout the semester and anticipating next semester as well, being in person, Zoom, and hybrid as well, to emphasize that safety and that flexibility. One of the questions that we get a lot is how does my student know about you, right? Students don't have to visit the Cohen Career Center, but we want students to know about us. So a lot of times parents will ask, are my students getting messages, information? How do they know about your programs and your services? So the answer is yes, yes, and yes. We communicate through multiple channels to students. We're with them, in front of them, right from the get-go at orientation sessions, multiple orientation sessions. Actually, all the students got a tour of the building. They've literally got a foot in the door at the Cohen Career Center. And hopefully I saw some of you new parents at orientation session for parents as well. We send out a variety of student newsletters, and as you'll shortly see, there are industry newsletters and general newsletter as well. Parents, we get the message out to you as well through the Parent Family Newsletter, and we have our usual collection of social media channels. And we also have a team of what are called student career advisors. These are undergraduate students that are thoroughly trained in everything that we do, and they're getting out there and meeting with students, helping students, presenting programs to students. So sometimes it's the power of the peer message. Sometimes that it just takes a peer telling another peer to go to the Career Center, and that sometimes kind of nudges a student. Well, if my friend is telling me to go to the Career Center, maybe I should go. So we definitely rely on that peer messaging. And this is just a visual of our representation of our newsletters. We do break out into, again, those industry newsletters as you see represented here. And students can sign up for multiple newsletters. And some newsletters come out once a week, some come out once a couple times a month, but we get that information out there, and we think it's important to tailor that information to students who are interested in specific industries. And Career Conversations, as you see here, that is sent to all students once a week. The students are automatically enrolled in receiving Career Conversations. And then Jumpstart, Kelly handles the Jumpstart newsletter specifically for first and second year students. And again, a lot of information contained in these newsletters.
Great. Well, thank you, Don. One of the areas that we like to speak with students about is the career exploration cycle. And so oftentimes students come to us and maybe think like, I'm unsure of, what particular major or industry I'm interested in. And it's like, where do I start? And we tell students, this is a process that's continuous. And so while, one student may come in and have an idea of where their maybe experiences lie, another student may want to talk about prioritizing their goals. But the intent of the career exploration cycle is that there is a place where you can start and pick up at any time. So you may come in and have some self-awareness. So you may look at those VIPs, what we call them. So the values, the interests, your personality, and your skills. You may think, okay, I know myself pretty well, but when it comes to maybe discovering what type of opportunities I can do with the major, I'm a little fuzzy on that. And so we work with students to think about those processes and to help them think what type of programming or resources or events can you engage in to help you with that exploration process? Because we know once students engage in the exploration and then have some ideas of where their interests lie, they're more inclined to pick particular areas that align with their interests and their values and their personality, and then they're more likely to enjoy the work that they do. And so this is one of the areas that we talk about with all of our students when they come and meet with our industry advisors, just to put that at the forefront of their mind and to let them know that that may change throughout their time at William & Mary, and that's okay. But it's keeping it and building upon that exploration cycle so that they're prepared for the work after college. The other area that we like to talk about with students is the liberal arts and sciences and careers. And so many times a student may come and say, well, I originally majored in, chemistry when I started at William & Mary, but now I seem to be maybe thinking about a different industry or a different major. Is that going to hurt me? And, most of the time we ask those questions, well, what's your end goal? So what type of work do you want to do once you graduate? And then we look and see how do those skills translate and those transferable skills align with those job opportunities. And so one thing that we've saw from the Association of Colleges of American Colleges and Universities that 93% of employers agree that when students graduate college, they have the skills to be able to think critically, to communicate clearly, and to also solve complex problems. And so that shows us that while it's important to align those majors, with an intended career, it doesn't always mean that if you don't do that, that you won't be able to work within those industries once you graduate. And so, of course, there's some prescribed majors that require you. So, if a student's maybe interested in medical school, then maybe we do need to look at a chemistry or biology degree. But when there are other opportunities, if a student wants to do some other work, there may not also always have to be a direct major that aligns with that. And I always tell students my story of when I was in college. I majored in criminology and criminal justice, and I thought I wanted to work in law enforcement. But once I graduated, I thought, the things are, I enjoy helping people. I enjoy building relationships with people. And I found that I can do that work in higher education with a criminal justice degree. And I later was able to align my master's degree with the work that I do today. And so it's not always the be all. If students select the major in college and then maybe have a different path. However, we do tell students to be intentional about that decision. So just don't go and pick any major, but think about that and know that if you change your mind, it's not the end of the world. And so that's something that we do like to communicate to students. And it's data that shows, that employers align with that as well. And I think we could probably all attest to, maybe some of the interests or majors that we had when we were in college or growing up have changed since we've had more experiences and have been able to engage in professional practice within the workplace. The other thing that we talk about with students are career competencies. And so our office, we get a lot of our benchmark data from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And so a lot of that data comes and it says, this is the best practices within career services. And so one of those resources that we have are career competencies. And so employers have said, these are really the areas that we look for in college graduates. And so when we think about the skills that are going to get them prepared for work after college, what does those look like? And this is the slide here. It's not an exhaustive list, but these are really the areas that we tell students that you can develop in and to grow. And so when we think about job opportunities, internships, volunteer work, student organizations, these are all the skills that we want students to be able to focus on those so that they can be prepared for work. And so a lot of the internships that our office has, we ask our staff to really align those responsibilities with the career competencies so that students can be prepared for those. And I will say also that those were updated this year, actually in 2021 by NACE. And so some of those that were added were updated with equity and inclusion. And so employers say that that's an important skill set that they look for in students. And then also technology, that one was already on there, but we continue to see that one at the forefront of employers' requests so that students are able to utilize those technologies that are used in the workplace. And so the current slide that you see on the screen right now is career readiness. And so we like to tell students that is something that is developed and built across and beyond campus. And so while we are at the Cohen Career Center, we encourage students to engage in student organizations and activities. And so when we think about those resume building skills, so, what are areas for improvement? So if you're looking for internships or maybe job opportunities, what are they looking for in a candidate, and where can you gain those skills across campus and within your student experience to be able to have yourself hopefully gainfully ready for employment? And so when we think about those, student organizations and activities are great opportunities to do that. Research with faculty, and so engaging with faculty within those research interests and being able to speak on those skill sets when they're interviewing and looking for internships. Also class projects, so being able to network with classmates and to be able to determine what interests are as well. Community engagement, so engaging in the community there again, that's a great opportunity for students to be able to network and to be able to develop those skills that are going to be applicable and transferable once they graduate college. And then also on and off campus job opportunities. And so we were proud to be able to host the first on-campus student employment fair this semester. And so we had over 100 students attend that event. But what we found was that students are really interested in working on campus, and it's an opportunity for them to build those career competencies that I just mentioned briefly by NACE. And so these are just some examples of where students can build those skills. But we like to tell students, think outside of the box, think outside of the classroom, and think of how these organizations and opportunities can complement the work that you're gaining in the classroom with faculty and your professors.
So a few of the programs that we have put on recently, a couple that have been new with the pandemic. One is the Professional Development Academy, which we held last January. It was a 3-day program open to all students, all majors, all class years, alumni. And the topics were really driven by registration. So we chose some topics and then students were able to rank their first choices. And that's how we developed the program. There was also an opportunity to work within small groups with a professional, as well as to do a professional development action plan at the end and present that to an employer that was paired with their small group. And we're planning to do that again in January. Another program we did is called Career Ready with Cohen, which we piloted over the summer. We ran for 2 sessions. It was self-paced, 4 weeks. And there's a topic for each week suggested. So resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, and interviewing. And then students were able to get feedback on things that they submitted for those categories. Another program that's undergone a little bit of a change is our What I Wish I'd Known series. So we used to do panels throughout both semesters of upperclassmen talking about what they wish they'd known about these various areas. The science research at William and Mary is still happening. It just happened last week, I believe. And but the rest we have actually kind of morphed a little bit into a segment within our Career Conversations newsletter. So it's getting out to more students. The upperclassmen are able to answer questions about different topics, and then we can spotlight their experiences, which is great for them to be able to speak to the experiences that they've had. And it's great for newer students to be able to hear about the experiences of others.
Lisa, I think we had one question to come in while you were presenting, and someone was asking if the Professional Development Academy will be offered this year. They have a graduating senior.
Yes, so it will be offered. We don't have the dates yet, but it will be offered in January. And so that information will go out through the Career Conversations newsletter. It will likely be in several of our other things. It'll be announcements in Tribe Careers, which you don't know about yet potentially, but we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So lots of ways that we push that out, but definitely have them keep their eyes open because we are for sure going to hold that again in January.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of making connections, we've given a lot of information from like the career exploration process and our industry advisors, but we do want to spend a little bit of time of talking about how can students get engaged with the different programming that we offer in our center. And so we have career fairs each semester, and so students can participate in those. And so we actually have 2 this week. And so we have our career and internship fair this Thursday and Friday. We also recently had our Meet the Firms event, which is open to all students, but it's primarily attended by our accounting, finance, and consulting students. But like I said, it's open to all students. We recently had our Career Diversity Expo, which is an opportunity where students can come talk with organizations and talk and learn about their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and any affinity groups that they may have within their hiring practices. And then we also host the Graduate and Professional School Fair. And so that'll be next week. And so great opportunities for students to really learn about gainful employment or if they're interested in graduate school. And then we also, as I mentioned earlier, we implemented the on-campus student employment fair, and that was a partnership with our financial aid office. And so those particular fairs are offered each semester. The Career Diversity Expo is one that's typically offered just once a semester in the fall, once an academic year in the fall, but the others are offered each semester. And so definitely encourage your students to engage in those particular opportunities. We also have information sessions. And so since the pandemic, we've seen these offered in a variety of ways. And so typically many of them were offered in person in the Cohen Career Center, but given just really the kind of climate that we're in right now, we've seen a hybrid approach with those. And so some of those are offered in person, while others are offered hybrid. And so we actually had one tonight in the center, and then we've also had some that would be virtual, that have been virtual as well. So information sessions are a great opportunity for students to learn more about organizations, learn about what they're recruiting for, whether that's an internship or an externship, or if it's a full-time role. So a great opportunity there. We also have industry panels, and so those are particularly done by our industry advisors. And so they may have a professional who may come in and talk about a particular industry, and they may tell students, how to get involved or what they may be focused on within those. And so those are a great opportunity to learn more about a focused and concentrated area. We also have meetups, which are done mostly by our industry advisors as well. And those are a little less formal than an industry panel or an information session, but it's an opportunity for students to come talk with professionals as well. And so typically they may be 30 to 40 minutes, and where it's just really a relaxed environment where students can learn more about how that particular professional got started in their industry or in their particular field, and ways of connecting and networking. And so if students have questions of like, how do I get involved, or maybe what's some advice that you can give a student, that's an opportunity for students to engage with as well. We also have industry treks, and so the reason we put parentheses around, quotations around the treks is because before COVID, a lot of those were done in person, and so given COVID, we've moved many of those to a virtual modality. And I think, it'd be interesting to see what we do after COVID, but we've seen that students are really interested in those, whether in person or virtual. And so the virtual option has allowed us to have more alumni from different areas participate. And so we've had many from the West Coast participate, as well as Northern, Virginia area as well, all the way to just really across the region. And so that's been able to open up our panelists and guests with those. But essentially, those are opportunities for students to typically visit a specific location and to learn about that. And so one example is our Wall Street program. And so in the past, that's been offered to students over fall break. And they would typically travel to New York and visit organizations and firms and banks that are in the Wall Street area. And so those are still being offered. They've just been offered in a virtual modality. We also have the externship program. And so I know Lisa is going to talk about that a little bit later, so I want to steal her thunder. But I would just say that's offered typically around the winter break time. And then Lisa will be able to give you more information about that. And then the last thing we talk about with making connections is LinkedIn. And so what we have found and what we're really proud of is William & Mary alumni are always more than willing to help our students, whether they're interested in a particular organization or if they just want some advice on how to connect with industry leaders. So we encourage our students to utilize LinkedIn, create those accounts, search for alumni, come to us, and so we can give you some advice on how to reach out. But we really encourage students to use LinkedIn and connect with our alumni, because they're more than happy to help and to provide assistance when they can.
So I'm going to talk a little bit now about internships and externships. There's lots of places for students to learn about prepping, for searching, prepping for the opportunities. So Tribe Careers, which Renard's going to talk about in a little bit, it's our system that houses all of our postings, all of our events, announcements, things like that. We also have industry specific and general internship search resources. We have some on our website. I also have a Blackboard page. If students are interested, they can reach out to me to be added to that. That has some opportunities in there that for one reason or another aren't being posted in Tribe Careers, as well as each industry has a resource that speaks to where some students from that industry have interned from William & Mary, as well as some industry specific search sites. We have video clinics on our website, which are condensed versions of our workshops that we do, but students are able to access those at any time. We have an internship search crash course, or we offer it several times a semester. We offer a program called Maximizing Your Winter Break. So I have a lot of students that ask me, how do I find an internship over winter break? Well, winter break's kind of short to do a full-fledged internship, but there are lots of other opportunities that students can take part in over that break. And then again, the externships. So what are the externships? They, as Renard said, they take place over winter break. They're typically a 1 to 2 day, most are 1 day shadowing opportunity. And I was thrilled to see a question in the Q&A asking about hosting. We would love to have you host. You can host virtual or in person. Historically, they've been in person. Last year, obviously, they were mostly virtual. And we understand there's likely to be a mix this year, especially with all the uncertainty. So the deadline for hosts to post is October 1st. If you are interested in hosting, you can certainly reach out to me. There's my email address. I would love to chat with you about opportunities, but also your students can apply for as many opportunities as they want. So the student deadline to apply is going to be October 26th. They do have to come to a mandatory information session. We have 3 options available, but it's really a way for students to just kind of explore what's a day in the life like for different industries of interest. As far as identifying sources for internships, as I mentioned, Tribe Careers, Renard talked about the career fairs and all of our other programming, individual appointments. Students are welcome to come in and meet with us individually to kind of talk through their options, learn about what other people have done, things like that. And we always tell students, talk to faculty, talk to parents, talk to other students about what they've done. I always tell students, when you're looking for an internship, every single person you know should know that you're looking for an internship and what that internship, what you're hoping to do, because you never know who knows who or who's going to hear about an opportunity and then you're going to come to their mind. Internships are just one type of career experience. As we've touched on a little bit already, and we'll talk about a little bit more, is they are not the end all and be all of experience. Sometimes freshmen do get internships, sometimes they don't, and that is okay. We see a lot of students who put a lot of pressure on themselves to find an internship straight out the gate. There are other ways to gain experience and to get themselves ready for other internship opportunities. We do have something called FUSE, which is the Fund for Unpaid Summer Experiences. So if your student has an unpaid summer internship, they can apply for FUSE funding. It is a budget model. It happens in the spring, the application process. It's done on a budget model. So it's to cover living expenses, not to count as pay for an experience. But sometimes we have students who are living other places to do an internship. So oftentimes they will apply for those FUSE funds as well. Again, experience is important, but also we encourage students to think outside the box. So what are other ways that they can be gaining that experience? Renard talked a little bit about some of those ways. Other ways to offer to do a project for a company. Consider employers that are specifically open to remote work. There's obviously a lot more of that now happening, which opens up a lot of opportunities to students who maybe geographically don't live in the place where the company is that they want to intern with. There's a lot more opportunities out there now that are virtual. Think about structure of positions. So we partner with a platform called Parker Dewey that facilitates companies posting micro internships, which are short-term project-based. So they might be a week, they might be a month. They are all paid. They are almost all, if not all, virtual. So it's a great way for students to connect with a company, get some experience without it being a semester-long commitment. So we do encourage students to check that out. And job shadowing. So whether or not it works out that they take part in our externships, we can also help them to identify other opportunities to potentially set up some job shadowing on their own as well.
And another great way for students to develop experience is volunteering. There's a lot of student organizations right at William & Mary, and many William & Mary students get plugged into these organizations right away. And the topics are endless. And many of these organizations are focused on serving, just developing that mindset of serving and getting involved in developing those qualities and leadership skills that employers look for. And so again, it goes back to that mindset, reflect on how you can develop these skills, what skills you're developing. Again, a lot of opportunities for volunteering on campus in the greater Williamsburg area. These are just other platforms where students can kind of dig into to look for other volunteer opportunities. We do have some resources dedicated specifically to the career exploration process. Sometimes students come in and they just need a tool. They just need a resource to help them in this kind of very, nebulous, vague process that can be very fuzzy to them at one point. And we explain to them it's okay. It's okay to be fuzzy. And, it doesn't have to be crystal clear at this point, but you do want to take some steps to move along to eventually get some more clarity in your career path. And we've got some resources and strategies to share with students. So what can I do with this major? It's exactly how it sounds. We have a list of majors, and it kind of breaks down different sectors of different career areas within that major, strategies to explore, experiences, and some action steps to take. So again, we list each major and develop some action steps with that student. Candid Careers is a large library of video interviews, basically kind of a day in the life of whoever, right? And they are interviewing this person, and this person is kind of taking a look at the day in the life of what they do, how they got their skills, trends in the industry. And Candid Careers is a very robust platform. They really keep up to date with all of their videos, and they're constantly adding more videos. A strategy to employ informational interviews. What better way to find out about an occupation, a job, a title, than to talk to someone who is living that life every day? And Renard had mentioned our William & Mary alumni want to help. They want to give back. And this is a great way for them to give back, is to help students along that path that they traveled not that long ago. And so students can connect with them on William & Mary and other networks that students have built in. COVID has really, I would say, kind of elevated the visibility of these educational platforms when we were all at home and looking for different ways to be productive at home. Again, these online educational platforms were really elevated, and we really talked to students about different ways to expand their skill sets in addition to taking the classes, in addition to a lot of the other things that we talked about, especially language, technical skills. William & Mary has a subscription to LinkedIn Learning, and LinkedIn Learning is a valuable resource. It is a large repository of classes and just different, again, skill-based modules that students can go through. And so they have access through William & Mary, because we have a subscription to LinkedIn Learning. And so they can drill into all of those lessons for free through LinkedIn Learning. And there are a lot of other platforms out there, Udacity, edX, Coursera, Duolingo. And so for many of these platforms, students can take some basic classes for free. Now, where the cost may come in is if they want to string together a series of classes for a certificate. So that is a cost, and sometimes that is a good investment if they want to string together some courses for a certificate. But those platforms are out there, they're available, and they're great for expanding the skill sets.
Another resource that we've mentioned tonight is Tribe Careers. And so Tribe Careers is really our central resource and career services platform that we use with students. And so recruiters and organizations post their job opportunities, internship opportunities, volunteer work, any of those opportunities allow students to engage with them. They post them there. And then we also have it to where it's also used for students to request advice and appointments with our team, and to also reserve space in the Cohen Career Center. So students can log in with their William & Mary credentials. They are given an account after they become students. And so if it's a new student, it's typically 14 days after they've registered for classes, and they can log in with those credentials and they can get in there and explore. And so Don mentioned at the beginning that students are automatically enrolled in Career Conversations, which goes out to all students on Sundays. However, if students want to receive a specific newsletter for their industry, they would go inside Tribe Careers and sign up for those. And so they would need to subscribe to that. And if a student wants to receive all of those, I know I'm signed up for all of them. Students can do that as well, and they can go and get those in their emails. As I mentioned, students can also schedule advising appointments with our staff through there. So that's the one way they can connect with our team. And they can also call us as well, which I'll talk about on the next slide. but they can also explore and RSVP for events. And so one thing I didn't mention during the career fair slide is that all of those were virtual for this semester. And so we've used Simplicity, which is also what Simplicity powers Tribe Careers. So sometimes our team use it interchangeably, but Simplicity and Tribe Careers is the same thing. But it was powered through Tribe Careers for our career fair. And so it was a great opportunity for students to engage with that. And so I know we had over 200 students actually attend Meet the Firms this past Friday, and they did so virtually. And so it's a great opportunity for students and employers. They can also search you for internships, part-time and full-time jobs, and also externships as well. So really just a great resource for students to be connected with. And I'm happy to say, as of Monday of this week, we actually got Tribe Careers added to the William & Mary mobile app. So students can now utilize Tribe Careers through there if they would like to schedule an appointment with us or view upcoming events. Another thing that students can do with Tribe Careers is also set job alerts. And so if they would want maybe a specific ping for particular jobs or internships, they can set that alert to be emailed to them, depending on when often or how often they would like to receive those. And then another thing is to explore employers. And so if they are maybe interested in targeting a specific group of organizations, then a great opportunity is just to look through Tribe Careers and see, how often do employers post? What type of positions do they post? When are they maybe have information sessions? And this helps students with identifying those timelines and strategic plan and goals that they need to do in order to be prepared for when the recruiting season come and cycle. So that's a great opportunity for students to do some exploration as well. The last thing that I'll mention before we maybe entertain any questions is, so we tell students and we really encourage them to engage early and to engage often with the Career Center. And so I know sometimes students think, well, as a freshman, I maybe don't need to go to the Career Center. I'm not necessarily looking for an internship right this moment, but we still want students to start coming to us, attend the career fairs, network with employers, learn what they're looking for and candidates so they can start developing those skills and practice, and to think about how can I be prepared for when I'm ready for that opportunity. And so coming early and coming often, engage in MACE, which is my active career exploration, which Kelly O'Shaughnessy in our office coordinates, but it's a 6-week program for first and second year students to be able to do that career exploration. And so they meet for 1 hour a week and they have different resources that they can engage in to help them be prepared for that career exploration cycle. So, engaging in those type of opportunities to be prepared for the next steps. So students can meet with us in person or via Zoom or telephone, depending on what they feel most comfortable doing. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as I mentioned, students can request an appointment through Tribe Careers, or they can call our front desk and ask for an appointment as well. And then we also have quick advising. So quick advising is done Monday through Thursday from 2 to 4. And so the big difference between scheduling an appointment and quick advising is an appointment is going to be a dedicated time with an advisor, or maybe it's something that, you want to have, 45 to 60 minutes with an advisor to really dive into a specific topic, whether that's resume writing, interviewing skills, career exploration, looking for an internship, but anything that's going to be a more of a deeper dive. Whereas quick advising is staffed by our professional staff, but also is staffed by our graduate assistants, our student career advisors, and then also our professional partners from the Mason School of Business. And that's for an opportunity for a student to drop in. So they don't necessarily have to have an appointment, but they can just drop in, ask a quick question. And maybe it's like, hey, I'm getting ready to submit my resume for this particular internship, but I'd like for someone just to give me some quick feedback in 20 minutes or less. And so that's the difference in between our appointments and quick advising. So like I said, quick advising, you don't have to have an appointment, and it's just something that you can get a quick question answered in the time that's convenient for you as students. And so that's ways that students can engage with the Cohen Career Center. And so with that being said, I think that really concludes all of the content that we had to share with you. And so we'd love to offer or answer any questions that you may have. You can, of course, feel free to put those in the chat if you have those for us. And I think that's, yeah.
Bernard, I just want to point out one thing in case these parents are excited to tell their students about all they're learning tonight. We don't do quick advising during our large events like our career and internship fair, so we won't have it this week on Thursday and Friday. I just wanted to point that out.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for that wonderful information. That was a lot of really great information. And there's your contact information. That was going to be my next question was, how can parents and families connect with the Cohen Career Center so that they can maybe keep up with it? And I see all of your social media there. So, okay, at this time, I'm waiting to see if any questions come in. And so while we wait for a couple questions, I'm going to kick us off with one, which is, this webinar is for parents and families. So what advice would you give to parents as they're starting a conversation with their student about their career and gaining some of these experiences?
I personally think the best place to start is to just ask your student what their thoughts are, kind of where are they in that process? Do they have careers they're thinking about? Are they thinking about ways that they can start to get engaged? Because as I'm sure you know, it can feel really overwhelming to students, right? They're trying to manage their classes and their extracurricular activities. And then, oh, I also need to be thinking about this career thing. But the more students take small steps and kind of chip away at this consistently, the easier it gets. And so I would just say, start asking questions, trying not to put too much pressure on, but just kind of gauging where they are. And then maybe, making some suggestions if it seems like they don't really know what to do, offering them some suggestions of what we've talked about tonight can be helpful. And suggest that they meet with us. I always tell students, you do not need to know what you want to meet with us about to meet with us. And I have had some of the best conversations with students who I ask them what brings them in, and they say, I don't know. Somebody told me I was supposed to meet with the Career Center. Best conversations ever. So they don't have to know. And I think that's one of probably the more important things is our office is, even though a career office can seem intimidating, our office is very welcoming. We're excited to meet with students. That's what we're here for. And so just encouraging them to take advantage of that as well.
I was going to say, Don, I see you unmute. I was going to say a question came in for you.
Yeah. So a question, any good programs for pre-med students? Yeah, we have a very large and active pre-med population at William & Mary. And with me handling the STEM area, I do meet with a lot of pre-med students. And so we have meetups with physicians. In fact, we're in the process of coordinating at least one meetup this semester with a physician who's been in the field for a while. And he's just going to talk about his journey to medical school and kind of demystify that journey for students. So it's very important for students to connect with individuals in the healthcare industry to get the realistic view of what it's really like. So we have meetups with people in the healthcare industry. We will have a breakout session during our graduate professional school fair. We have a panel of admissions representatives from different med schools providing advice on just the whole admissions process into med school, what they look for, clinical experience, what the interview process is like. So I'm always, again, kind of brainstorming on these types of programs, whether they be career panels, meetups, information sessions. And so we have a Virginia College of Osteopathic Medicine is coming in a few weeks for an information session for students to, again, talk about what their program looks like, what the kind of a day in the life of a med school student at their program is, and again, what they look for in the application process and how students can prepare. So whether it's an information session with a med school, a meetup with a physician, or anything in between for healthcare students, we definitely want to get them connected. We also have some strong partners that we work with that have in the past and continue to be hosts for students for shadowing as well. And some of these individuals have participated in the winter externship program. Lisa has worked with these individuals where they are host sites for students over winter break. And then I continually reach out to individuals to gauge interest if they want to host a student for shadowing. I can tell you that is a very popular question that I get from pre-med students about the opportunities for shadowing. Some students have a good built-in network where they can tap into for shadowing experiences, while other students don't have that network. And shadowing, identifying shadowing opportunities and going through that process can be very daunting for students. It can be a very complicated process. And we are always looking to expand our network of partners. And we do have a good list of partners who have hosted students for shadowing, but we are always looking for more partners. And so anybody in the audience who is in the healthcare field who wants to host a student for shadowing, I know it's been very challenging with COVID. Most, if not all of the shadowing experiences have been delayed, shut down. Some of them are beginning to open up, and then some of them are still not open. So those are some of the things that we do to help pre-med students, pre-health students.
Dan, you get all the questions. The next one is, how about specific advising or opportunities for environmental careers?
So environmental can take on a lot of different angles. Does the student want to be in the field? Do they want to be in environmental consulting? Do they want to be in site remediation, site cleanup, soil, water sampling, things like that? Do they want to get literally their hands dirty? So I would say that's a good wide entry point for students. Or again, part of it is, if a student's interested in environmental, what does that mean to them? And it goes back, Lisa, to your point of just having that conversation with the student. And so really sitting down, and if a student's interested in environmental, what does that look like? Is it more, I want to be in the field, I want to be, getting my hands dirty, or do I want to educate the general public about environmental concerns, about just making good choices for the environment. Or do I want to be part of a grassroots, effort through sustainability, things like that? Or do I want to get involved in a recycling program? Do I want to think about how we can better source materials that are more sustainable, things like that? So, like a lot of other for good first steps, there's a lot of good student organizations right on campus that students can get plugged into that are aligned with the environment. We have the Committee on Sustainability. We have working committees and groups working around just what does it look like to be sustainable at William and Mary. And so that's a good first step, to get involved in a student organization connected to the environment. And then whether it's research as well, you can get involved in research with geology faculty, biology faculty that are more aligned with environmental and sustainability and energy related issues. So get involved in student clubs, organizations, get involved in research with faculty, and then certainly, like all of other functional areas, we can work with the student to identify internships in the environment as well, to set them up for eventually graduation, or if they want to go on to graduate school for environmental as well.
One other thing there is that we also have an eco ambassador that works in our office. It's an undergraduate student. Last year, the one that we had put together some really great resources for different careers in sustainability. So that would be something else to check out as another option.
I was going to add that too. So great thoughts, Lisa. Also, so we had a quick question in the Q&A about government majors. And so great opportunity for our government students as well. So Andrew Martin from our team is our advisor for that particular industry. And it depends on, what the student wants to do. And so last fall, we had virtual days in DC. And so typically those students would travel to DC for a day on Capitol Hill. And so we had that virtually, and it was a great opportunity for students to engage in a plethora of things. And so we have great relationships with the CIA, the FBI. So depending on if they want to go that route, we also have relationships with think tanks. And so I actually had a meeting today with the Mid-Atlantic Council, just talking about opportunities for our students to be able to do internships with them. So great opportunities. Our students are very interested in public policy and just really the government area. So just thinking about what that student would want to do with that major. Is it international work, or is it maybe looking in DC area? So just really honing in on those and exploring their opportunities. But to long story short, down to that question, great opportunities for our students for sure.
And just a couple things I would add to that. Andrew also does a USA Jobs crash course and a federal resume crash course several times a semester. So that helps students get ready to apply for federal opportunities. Additionally, we partner with several other colleges and universities to put on the government education and nonprofit fair, which I don't know what that will look like this year. Last year it was virtual. When it's in person, it's at Georgetown University, and we bus students to that. I got to go my first year. It's a great event with lots of opportunities. So definitely plenty of opportunities available there.
I'll put a plug in for another program that covers a few different functional areas. The Science Career Expo, we'll have it for the third year this year. It's virtual. It's over the entire last week of October, and it features different theme nights. And part of it is to create awareness to science students on all the different career paths they can take. So Monday of that week will be biomedical. So again, kind of lining with healthcare and pre-med, pre-health, biotech, pharmaceutical. Tuesday will be science communications. Wednesday will be environmental. So there's another resource for the students interested in environmental. Thursday will be engineering night. And then Friday will be museum, zoos, and aquariums. And again, to create awareness to those STEM students and all the different career paths that they can take, and facilitating connections with alumni and other representatives of the organizations that will be participating.
Wonderful. It sounds like there are so many ways for students to get engaged and find experiences in a diverse array of fields and practices. So one big takeaway for me is to encourage your students to visit the Cohen Career Center early and to engage often so that they can get some of those really valuable experiences. But thank you to Lisa, Don, and Renard for joining us this evening. This was wonderful. It was recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel shortly. But thank you again for joining us this evening, and see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.